And we are live. Always a pleasant surprise. It's so great to see all of you in Facebook land. And of course, my amazing success coaches, Joanne and LT. I thank them for joining me for episode 28 of the InnerStrength Empowerment Hour. LT just reminded us both that we've been doing this for about 6 months. So this is really exciting, and I feel like time has really flown. Do you guys feel like that?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like it is flying by. It definitely doesn't seem like 6 months of these. So that is exciting. And, I know I speak for all of us when I say that we absolutely love this. And that's the exciting, the part of this is that we get to connect with all of you in a different way. Through real talk, real experiences, and real solutions. So thank you again for joining us. And today we are going to talk about finding joy in the journey. And we all know that can be a challenge, because when we think of losing weight, it's just a sense of overwhelm and dread. And so, and that colors your whole journey. It's the fact that you started out that way, and there's reasons that it perpetuates itself that we're going to talk about today, that are really setting you up for failure. So we're going to talk about that today, and hopefully get your head on straight about this journey and what it's about, and how really joyful and exciting and fun it can be, believe it or not. So for both of you, when you thought about losing weight and getting healthy throughout your life, because I know both of you, struggled from early on, what feelings and thoughts typically came up for you? Like what was the feeling? And then also, what was the script that was running in your head while you were thinking, okay, I've got to do this?
Go ahead, LT.
Yeah, I thought dread. Here we go again. This is going to be too hard. I'm going to be hungry. I'm not going to like what I'm eating. I'm going to feel deprived. It's just going to be too tough. Other people, it happens for other people, but it doesn't happen to me, because I'm a little different than everybody else. And I convinced myself that I was different than anybody else. And I am no different than anybody out there. I'm telling you right now, it was all in my head, and I had a running script. And if the first little snag happened with whatever program I was on, because I did 26, I was already making my escape plan.
Yeah, that's right.
Out. What's the next one? Because this obviously isn't going to be the one that works.
I think it's so fascinating how we all think there's something special about each of us that makes us uniquely likely to fail. We're all just like, I don't know what it is about me, but everybody else can do this but me. And yet we're all thinking it. So it is just the weirdest phenomenon. So what about you, Joanne?
Same exact thing. I always thought, what is wrong with me that I can't do this? I'm hungry. Like I was always so hungry, and I like food. Like I'm a foodie. I love cooking. I love dining out and finding new restaurants. But I thought, well, that just must be my downfall, because I just like to eat too much. And I could just never do it. And I thought that it was me. I honestly did, just like LT.
I think too, right. So going into it, your first thing is I've got to gear myself up for deprivation.
Yes.
And I think so that's part of the problem. We're dreading it right there. Like, okay, I've got to get, because people will say to me frequently, they'll be like, I really need this, but I got to get my mind right. And I know that's what they're thinking, is I've got to get my deprivation hat on. And the thing is if it were all about deprivation, it definitely wouldn't work.
Right.
Deprivation as a model does not work long term. That's why people do Weight Watchers again and again and again. They fall off, they go back on. They fall off, they go back on. And I've been, pretty vocal about that. I think it was the Vanity Fair interview where the CEO of Weight Watchers said that was the bulk of their business is repeat business. People fall off and they come back on. Deprivation has never been clinically shown to be a model. Neither has deprivation in the way of, hey, I know I'm going to cut out all carbs.
No.
it's, that's not the way to go. So definitely you have that dread, right? Of like, oh God, I know I got to do this, but I just got to gear myself up for it. But the flip side of that is also we have food addiction and we don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit that we are addicted to sugar or addicted to, fast food or addicted to chips or whatever the thing might be, or that we're, maybe, for me, like I was addicted to all that stuff, but I also was the kind of person who would just eat a huge meal. Like I'll eat 2 sandwiches, like 2 lunch meat sandwiches,
Right.
So, I mean, you don't want to admit that stuff. And because that's just like, it's embarrassing.
Well, and you might not know. I didn't know that it was a thing. Like I mean, I've heard of food addiction, I've heard of eating disorders, but I didn't put myself in that category because I didn't know that, I didn't identify that that's what it was until I joined. Even after I joined the program is when I started to realize, hey, yeah, that's actually what I did have. That's actually what it was. And I heard a really interesting program on NPR a couple months back. There was an interview, an author interviewed somebody who had an eating disorder, and their eating disorder was binge eating, which is kind of like what we all have done. And so she said, if I would have been told, and this woman was probably in her 60s, she said, back when I was dealing with it as a teenager, as a young adult, if somebody would have told me that it was an eating disorder or an addiction or, had a label for it, I would have processed that differently than thinking it was just a character flaw. She's like, I took that and thought that there was literally something wrong with me, that it was my character, that I just couldn't push through it. And I think once we identify it and call it out, it totally changes your mindset about how to move forward and get through it.
Right.
I totally agree. That is exactly what happened with me. Didn't want to admit it, really underestimated it. And then once I got really honest and truthful about it, that's when I was cooking with gas. That's when I turned up the volume and I started really making some headway. And I will tell you this, that, we have all of these addictions that we think are bad. And so what we do is we don't want to be that for sure. But other people, when we're already in the mindset of depriving ourselves and already setting ourselves up that we can't have that and we can't do that. And that's when we do this going off to the side and sneaking and snarfing down an entire box of Little Debbie's. That's exactly what happens, because you're so upset and mad that other people are eating and doing, and I can't eat it because I'm on this diet. So what I'm going to do is wait for darkness to fall, and then I'm going to get in the closet and go to town. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, I used to eat donuts in the car. I would get them I would say I'm going to the grocery store, which I did, and I would get some groceries, but then I would also get a big box of Krispy Kremes, and I would eat those in the car on the way home and throw the box away before I got in the house. And so there's also definitely a sense of shame attached to just being overweight.
Yes.
And so you're not, you're also going into it, I think, with an attitude of self-loathing.
Absolutely.
You're just like, I can remember one of my girlfriends way back when I was in my 20s saying to me, I just got to wait till I get sick enough of myself before I do this. Like when she would be starting a diet. And that's how we get. We just we wait and then we get to this point where we just hate ourselves, and we use that as the fuel to get started. And so
it's relentless, and you do it over and over again, and then you just start to question every decision you make, and then it becomes not about food at all anymore. It becomes about you as a person, you as a mother, you as a friend, you as a co-worker, and you just put yourself in this I'm horrible box.
Well, when you start anything from a place of self-hate, you've already decided that you're not worth it.
Yes.
So you're not worth the trouble. From the very beginning, you're this awful thing. And so, like you said, LT, the slightest thing happens and you're like, well, that's me. Right? I just screwed it up again. So
there it is.
Yep. So it just fuels that fire. And I've talked to so many women who are like, I'm just afraid of failing again. And what they are realizing is that all of these diets that we go on are designed to fail. They're designed on models that are short-term success. And so, I mean, let's just be honest. You are not going to count points for the rest of your life. You're not going to. You're not going to
No.
count calories. You're not going to calculate your net carbs. You are not going to give up potatoes and bread and pasta and pastries for the rest of your life. You're not doing it.
Yeah, and eat a
And
bar
so,
and eat a shake, drink a shake.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, spend all your money on all of these supplements and
No.
shakes and bars and all this crap. So that's where we have to change our mindset that, you know, instead of saying I've been a failure all this time, it's several things. It's what Joanne said. It's I am, and if you don't like the word eating disorder, I get that, but I am I'm having disordered eating. That's another way that they put it. So you're having trouble in that area. You are taking on diets that aren't designed to succeed to begin with. So the failure is on that end, not on your end. Your only job here is to realize that that stuff doesn't work.
Mhm.
So it's so instead of using all of that against yourself, you've got to use it as a learning experience. You've got to say, okay, well, here's what doesn't work. And here is where I've had issues. And that can bring you to that, that come to Jesus moment where you're like, if I care enough about myself,
Mhm.
then I'm going to do this totally differently than I've done it before, instead of just grasping at straws. Where do you guys think that all of this stuff comes from? Like, because we all feel it. We all feel the same way about our bodies and about, I mean, we talk to each other, like we said, it's like we have this sense of shame. Like, I can't really say exactly how I'm feeling about this, but yet when we do, we find out we all feel the same. So where do you guys feel like that originated from in your lives or in society?
Well, for me, growing up in a house with a facade, it came from that because I had to have this exterior, and you have to have this it's okay mindset, even though you're crumbling inside, because it shows weakness. It shows that you can't pull it together, that you're too vulnerable, that you're a little bit less than. So if you have that brave face and if you have that front, you're just going to be more accepted by society. And, we have a perfect platform with that with Facebook, because you can pretend who you want to be. That's why some people call it fake book instead of Facebook. My mother calls it an adult brag book, because you typically do see the highlights of people. So you don't see their behind the scenes, real life, and you make that comparison of your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. And it is honestly not a true comparison. So in order to muster up, you feel like that you've got to put on this face. And then sometimes is what happened with me. I'll speak for myself. I couldn't muster anymore. I did it for enough until I was becoming non-functioning. It was becoming fairly obvious, not fairly, very obvious to people around me that something's a little wrong here. And that's when I had to reach out and get the help, all those years ago with that postpartum depression, because but I translate that into anything, because that's what I did. I hid, and then until it became too much and I couldn't do it anymore, until it was a cry for help is what it was.
Right. Yeah. So we definitely feel like, I think all of us in some way, regardless of how it may have happened, feel like the expectations around, for women especially, are unrealistic.
Very.
But instead of saying so much, instead of saying that, to ourselves and trying to find a different path, we either opt out completely, or we engage in this yo-yo cycle, and it's just ongoing. And our health gets worse, and we end up weighing more over time because this stuff is so unhealthy. Do you have any different thoughts on that, Joanne, about your background and why or where you think it originated?
I got all kinds of thoughts about this. I think this could be a whole show all by itself. So, I read Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and that book was like if I could just talk about that book every single day of my life, I probably would.
I
And
think
would
you
be
do
on,
talk about that book every day. Just
I'm
saying.
pretty sure I do. I need to be on her PR team, honestly. It was so mind-blowing to me to unravel when she was talking about all the things we're brought up thinking we actually believe that we don't really necessarily believe, you know, and it's not necessarily that anybody's doing it wrong. It's just the way it's always been. And we have learned to not question it. And we have learned to just go, okay, this is the mold I'm supposed to fit. And who the heck fits that mold? Like in a real world, if you're really living to be who you are, you're not going to fit that mold. And then you automatically set yourself up as a failure. You know, like we can't meet all the expectations that we think we're supposed to meet and that we actually put ourselves in a position to strive for. You know, we all want to go to college and get the house in the suburbs and drive the nice car and have the 2.5 kids and, you know, they're perfect and their faces are clean and their hair is pulled up and come on, like if you set yourself up for all of that, where's the time to figure out who you really are? You know, you get to that point in your life where somebody goes, okay, time to make a decision. You want to go this way and think about yourself, or do you want to go this way? And nobody tells you what this way is. You just think that's what you want because that's what everybody else is doing.
Right.
It's such a lie. It's just such a lie.
It definitely, with women, we are raised to, you want people to think you're nice, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up having trouble speaking up for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and deferring to men or to stronger personalities. And some of us were even, you know, some people are even raised in a household where you do defer to a man for everything. And also that you should be able to do it all and be completely selfless. So what by do it all, meaning you're doing for others, right? So you're, you know,
The
we
guilt.
talked about that stupid Angelique commercial before where you're bringing home the bacon fried up in a pan, never let him forget he's a man. Like, and she's like looking like the sex pot the whole time she's in the kitchen. It's like, this is, you know, that was a commercial, but that's really how, I mean, that they marketed that to people for a reason, because it works, because that is what we all think we're supposed to look like and be like and feel like, which that person had no identity of her own. This is just like, here's what she does, not who she is. And so, you know, if we are constantly caring for others and working, whether you're working outside the home or in the home, and, you know, taking care of your significant other, taking care of your kids, or, you know, volunteering and all the things that we do that we're expected to do, when do you have time to take care of yourself? And when do you have time, like Joanne said, to figure out who you are, what you like, what you want? And there are so many women that, you know, I do mindset work with women and I'll say, tell me some things about you. And they're like, well, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. They start talking about their identity as it relates to what I do for other people or what I provide. And I'm like, no, that's not what I asked you. And they honestly don't know how to answer me.
They don't.
You don't, because it's, you get guilted into, if you try to think about yourself at all, that's wrong. And everybody tells you that's wrong. Right. So then you try to think, you stifle that down because you're like, why am I thinking about myself? There must be something really inherently wrong with me. I should be thinking about everyone else. And it goes on for years. I
think it also gets to the point where then you realize it's such a heavy, it's gone on for so long that you haven't dealt with it, that you realize that it's actually easier to just keep helping other people because you know how to do that.
Yep.
And then
you still
that's
never
where you
win.
Get your atta girls. And that's where you get the affirmation is from other people. And then when you're a little bit heightened about not feeling good about yourself and you don't get something, you think, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. And now I've done something wrong and they don't like, and you start creating a scenario about what you've done or what something's wrong and I've done something, and you take everything to heart and personal, and they don't mean it at all. And they're not even remotely thinking that way.
Right.
Right.
And you're over here wasting half a day stewing about she doesn't like me.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
or I think it's also, when I was, when my girls were in grade school and I was doing, parties at the school and stuff like that, being part of like the group of room moms and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
there was this ridiculous amount of competition
Oh yeah.
It
because
is.
it's like these people, I remember thinking to myself, I feel like no one has a life outside of their kids here
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
this is all there is for everybody here. And so yeah, then you, when your kids finally grow up and move out or go to college or whatever, it's like you're gonna crash and burn because
Mm-hmm.
that's your whole identity.
That's right.
um, so Gina says, food addiction for me was I didn't want to own up to any program because I was telling myself I couldn't have that food anymore. And it puts me in a deeper slump because of my mindset. Then I would eat more of the food.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she would snack when other people are in bed.
Yep.
And so she says she's finally connected with a group where I feel comfortable and I'm not afraid to interact. I'm on week 3, so she's in our program.
Yeah.
She says, I'm seeing so many results and I feel so good and my mindset is so much better. So yeah, I mean, so when you were doing these diets before, so this is I think the key, right? Because this is the part that we all dread. When you started, because we all started these diets, what do you think the thoughts and feelings were that led you to self-sabotage once you got going?
Yeah, I was mad because I was deprived. I didn't like it. What I was eating, I felt shortchanged with things. I would watch other people have fun and get to have birthday cake. And I didn't want to be the square peg over here. Oh, I can't eat that. And so then what would happen is you would go buy a store on the way home and get a whole birthday cake for yourself. I mean, and just eat the piece of birthday cake. Okay. You don't have to be like, this is what we do. I mean, I'll speak for myself. This is what I did. So I totally felt deprived with other people. And it just seemed like they were having more fun. It seemed like they were more lighthearted with things. It seemed like they were more engaged with things. And I just felt like I was over here white knuckling my way through something that I didn't even want to be on to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it just made me even that much madder
Mm-hmm.
and sadder. Sad
Right.
and mad.
Mm-hmm.
What about you,
Exactly.
Joanne?
Same thing. It was always something I didn't want to do anyway. And then exactly the same. I felt deprived. I felt like, oh, poor me. And then it turned into like when you look around and you see everybody else happy, you're like, well, what is wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? Why can't I do this? Like, why can't I just finally get a hold of this, get the weight off and be fine? Because as we know, it's not about the weight. It's not, it was never about the weight. So
I think for me, it was always, I would always be like, I would start the bargaining phase with myself. So I had been deprived, and instead of really thinking it through, because I would be hungry or whatever, I would think to myself, okay, well, I'm going to just go ahead and have that. I haven't had it in a while. I'm going to go ahead and have that. Then I'm just like going to not eat tomorrow or something,
Exactly.
Like I start the bargaining phase, and then but then it was just all downhill from there. Like that was the beginning of the end, was just getting right back, because then you go back to those foods that you're addicted to, that are designed to be addictive through the bliss point. For those who have not heard me talk about that, there's a great book called Salt, Sugar, Fat by a prize-winning journalist, Michael Moss, that talks about the bliss point, which is the exact amount of salt, sugar, and fat in a processed food or fast food, all of these things that we consume that makes it physically addictive. So that is the thing that we don't realize, is that our food is addictive as well. And so it's just so easy to go back to that. And so I would start bargaining with myself, and before I knew, I was back down the spiral. And I don't know if I even had enough self-awareness to be like, oh, well, okay, I felt deprived, and then I had this event happen where I felt super emotional, and then I went ahead and get the number 1 through the drive-through, and so therefore, I was just, here I am again. I'm back. So, and then also I would do this thing where I would be like, how important is this anyway? Like other people can be happy and their weight is,
Yeah.
they're overweight.
I
Like,
told myself
Yes.
that all the time. I would be
yeah,
looking,
I
I was
did
so,
too.
the most time I was the most jealous is when I was in somewhere like a beach or a pool or something, and there would be overweight women. I mean, very overweight, having the time of their lives. And I would be like, what in the world? How is she having fun? And I was over here
Yes.
much smaller than them at the time. And I was miserable. And I didn't
Mhm.
understand it. And I was so self-conscious and wouldn't go walk down the beach unless I had my cover up, unless I had something. And they're over here just having the time of their life. And I didn't know what they had. I really didn't know what they had. And it drove me nuts trying to
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So when you're basing it all on weight and nothing else, if you're just going by weight, because that's the culture we're in right now too, is, the fat shaming and things like that. I think it's really confusing for people because it's really two different subjects.
Yeah.
If you're only talking about weight as a measure of happiness,
Yes.
then yeah, you can be happy at any weight. And so that's
And that's
not
how I
really,
measured it. That was my
yeah,
only measurement.
right. And
Yeah.
so but then when you're not feeling happy and then
Right.
you go back to the weight, it's like, well, how come she can be happy at a higher weight than I can? Or how come this person is, skinnier than me? And you start, it is all about the weight. And
Yes.
that becomes really in the body positivity movement right now. Absolutely, we should all feel positive about our bodies. That doesn't have anything to do with health. That's just about
Right.
what you look like. This is what my outer self looks like.
Mhm.
And we should all feel like we love ourselves. That doesn't have anything to do with health. It doesn't have anything to do with
Right.
happiness. So
That's
that's
right.
where I think we are all getting really confused with this body positivity movement.
Mhm.
So Gina says she can definitely relate to ULT. Cora says that she was a bargainer like me.
Yes.
Emily says she felt deprived at first. She got food allergy testing and learned that it's not deprivation because she is allergic to certain things, but she would
Mhm.
hide behind that. So yeah, we have all these different acrobats, right, that we do with our brains
Mhm.
when all of this, when we approach dieting. So
Mhm.
how did you, when you guys started with this program, and I know for both of you, you were not plant-based before this, how did you approach this journey differently? If you didn't, or if you didn't approach it differently, if you came into it with the same mindset, at what point did your mindset shift?
I came into it differently because I wanted a different change, and I wanted some real change because had it fed up to here. And I just said, I'm going to do whatever you say. If you tell me to jump, I'm literally going to say, how high do you want me to jump? That is
Mhm.
how I approached this. And then you said, I mean, I knew it was all about real food. And that's the main thing. That was my main draw to you, is that it's got to be something that's real food that I'm going to learn how to manage. I've got to learn how to manage this. And then after that first week, it just started becoming clear. And I just started seeing things different. And I allowed this positivity in this group and this motivation and the mindset work that we did. And I allowed it to seep in. And I was made myself extremely coachable, very
Mhm.
coachable. And I just thought, you know what? I'm getting a different vibe. This is a different way of tackling this. I have not done it this way before, and I'm going to keep doing it. And then week 1 became 2, became 3, and I was having positive, 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 and it just has continued on that way for now a little bit more than a year. And I ran with it. And what happened was I knew that I wanted it. I knew that I wanted it. I didn't know the mechanics of
Mhm.
how it was going to happen. And that's where I just said, I'm going to trust your research. I'm going to trust your past history. I'm going to
Mhm.
trust all the women that you have already coached before. And I'm going to tell myself that I'm not going to be any different this time. And I have found that I am not different
Right.
at all.
Mhm.
I'm
So
very typical.
so you would say that the main thing, because I think this is a really good point, is that, you know, I do have people who want to argue with me about plant-based nutrition, who,
Yeah.
they don't have any background in nutrition, but they just have been on Facebook a
Mhm.
lot. And so they hear a lot of
Yeah.
people being like, well, you can't get your
Mhm.
protein, and well, you can't,
Right.
so yeah, I think it's, to put your faith not in gimmicks, but in an actual scientifically based.
I did.
Yeah.
And I trusted that you had resourced everything. I read your articles, I read your blogs, I read things from doctors that you had recommended, things that you got, and it all made perfect sense. And I thought, why wouldn't everybody do this? I mean, it got to that point where I was thinking, this is nuts if people aren't eating this way. I mean, it came from, it really became from, I don't know anything to why isn't everybody doing it?
Yeah, that is exactly what happened to me. I started doing research because my doctors had no answers and I was just getting heavier and sicker. And as I started doing the research, I'm like, well, this is so simple. It's completely based in science. Why isn't everybody recommending? Why aren't my doctors telling me this? Why? So yeah, when you start to understand it, it's like, why is everybody not doing this? And it just becomes sort of a no-brainer, which definitely makes it easier. I always tell my clients that, I give them the science because it's, I don't want anybody to do this because Lori said so. Right. Because that's not going to help you either. That's not, eventually you're going to be like, forget Lori. Yeah. So I want you to know the science behind all of it.
Right. And then not only was I physically doing better, mentally, I started really lightening up on things. And I just took that ball and I ran all the way down the field with it because I thought, you know what? I have been heavy and oppressed and upset and gloom and doom. And this is not my personality. I mean, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm a touch extroverted, just a smidge. And it was who I am. It's who I am. I'm a people person. I'm connected to people. I want to have fun. I want to have laugh. And I had just been squelched too long with that. And it was so refreshing to find her again. And I found her fairly quickly on this. And then it just got better and continues to get better, honestly.
It does. That's the thing. And we're going to pivot to that to talk about that process. But is there anything that you want to add to that, Joanne, in terms of how did you approach this differently from the start? Or was it more like, I know I have to do something and then you changed your mind in the process?
Well, I had researched plant-based and tried it several times myself for probably a good 10 years. Looking back at some of my old Facebook posts, I remember when I got my Vitamix and I was like, I'm going plant-based, I'm going raw vegan, I'm going, so like I knew I'd started to have health issues back then and I knew the science meant that this would work. Like I had seen testimonials, I had researched it, but I could never make it stick because I wasn't doing it right. And so I think when my health hit rock bottom to the point where I could not function anymore, I think that sort of, when you can't go any further down, the only way you can go is up. And so, but I think I had gotten to that point because I couldn't let go of my control of it. And so I remember very distinctly when I contacted you, I made up my mind that day, I'm going to trust this and I'm going to let go of it really was a false sense of control because I really was out of control, but I thought I was controlling it by not dealing with it, I guess. So the minute I joined, I was like, this is it, because I can't go any further down. I'm already to the worst point in my health has ever been. And so I have to go up. So I need to let go of some of that. So I think that was the difference for me, that I just let go of some of that and allowed myself to listen and learn and take it all in. And like LT said, after you get all that crap out of your system and you can start to see things clearly, then the mindset stuff kicks in. And then when that all hits, you're just like, whoa, like, whoa.
Right. Yes. So yeah. So the thing is, what we do is we reduce ourselves to calorie counting, carb cutting machines. And so when you think about starting something, it's new for a while, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do points. That's right. Or hey, I just got this box full of processed foods, shakes and bars, and this is fun, and it's like that for a few weeks or a few months, like, however long you can make it fun, right?
About 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's the outside, LT. I don't know.
That was my threshold. Then I was like, see ya.
I don't think I was going for that one. But I think then what happens is you're still not dealing with your crap.
Yeah.
You're still the same person, and now you're just, consuming this processed food, which is also a lot of deprivation that they put you. That's so, just so you guys know, like Optavia is physician's weight loss. My grandma did that back in the day. A lot of these things just rebrand themselves as
Right.
time goes on. So just so you know, I mean, that didn't work when it was physician's weight loss, and it doesn't work now.
Right.
So, but then, it's all becomes, like how many net carbs are in this and how many, so it's like you're learning a skill, right? I've had people say to me, oh, well, how, here's how I calculate net carbs. I'm like, oh, I don't calculate crap. Like I don't care how many net carbs are in anything. They're like, how many macros? I'm like, I don't know.
Who knows?
Because when it comes right down to it, that's not how you want to live your life. And at some point you realize that. And so you've only, instead of creating a vision for yourself as a new person, you've created a vision for yourself as the same person who's thinner and now knows how to calculate net carbs.
Yep.
So that's the thing that's different about our group, about my program, but what everybody should be doing when you undertake this, because what we're getting to the bottom of here, I think, in this talk is that the weight is a symptom. It's not the actual root of the problem. And yes, we have to solve the problem of the weight. Of course, we all want the weight off. We all want to feel better. We all want to get off our meds, whatever the thing is. But you have to realize that there's a whole pipeline of things happening, and that is the result. So when you're only dealing with the weight, whether it's through, keto or isogenics or whatever the thing is you're doing, that's not designed to last. And it's not going to, because you're not dealing with the actual pipeline of issues, besides the fact that those things aren't designed to be sustainable. So what we're doing is creating a vision of ourselves that we want to step into. And that vision is something that you hold in your mind. And what makes it so fun is that you are taking steps toward her along the way, not just because you're losing weight, but because you're creating boundaries, because you are learning things about yourself, because you are creating a new tribe of people. And you realize what it's like to have really positive, supportive people around you. All of these different things are happening, like with, LT, she's having a renaissance in her marriage. For me, I actually ended up getting a divorce. So like there's, we have somebody in our group who's decided to leave her job and go to Ecuador and learn yoga. I mean, we have, because once you create a vision for yourself, that's exciting. That's the part that makes you want to keep going on this journey. And being kind and loving to yourself and eating well is a side effect of that. So we have the plan. I have a really solid and easy and doable plan for you in terms of eating. But this is all about becoming the person who does that on a regular basis, and not just saying, here's the plan, and if you don't do it, you failed.
Right.
So have you though? Oh, well, let me ask this first. How is your why different now? Is your,
It is. My why, it was about weight, and it was about number, size. Before, I thought that it was the end goal, something that I couldn't be happy about until I got to that end goal. And then I was going to white knuckle and hold there and hope that it didn't go anywhere else.
Right.
And so the minute it started creeping back up, because believe me, with 26 programs, it did creep back up every time, and then creeped up a little bit more. And so then my hope was dashed a little bit more. So my why this time is that what I want to be ultimately is that I am a kind person. I'm a generous person. I'm a loving person, but I wanted that to be more consistent. I wanted balance, and I wanted it to be just who I was all the time. Yes, there are going to be moments in life that we are going to be challenged. And I'm not saying that we're not at all, but I did not want my response to put me in the gutter with things again. I just wanted to be able to handle it in a thoughtful, kind manner, balanced temperament. That's really what I craved. And I wanted to have fun, and I wanted to show up for people, and I wanted people to feel different when they were around me. Like, that I like being with her. I enjoy being with her. She's fun to be around. I really do want that. And I feel like that I have that now. And I feel like that I just squelched that before in me because I just treated myself like a dog, that I wasn't worth any of that. And I did a pretty good job of pretending about it for a while, but you can only pretend for so long.
Well, but like you said, like people, in your family, especially because our guard is more down with them, that people are noticing you're like this,
Yeah.
and because your blood sugar is wonky, you're
Yes.
having this hanger, these cravings, you can't control yourself, and you're hiding and eating, and
that's right.
You just don't feel in control. And that's, I think, one of the most beautiful parts of this journey is creating a version of yourself that you can trust.
Yes. Because listen, I used to be, I've written little books for children before I did this, and the publishing company went down. And I thought about this the other day. I used to sign in all of the books, and they were about squirrels because we had squirrels in our attic. So I would write, some days are more squirrely than others, but never lose belief in the greater good. And I want you to go out on a limb. And then I would sign my name. Well, what happened with that is that sometimes I would forget that for myself, and I would let those squirrely days take me down a path to put me in the pit and to put me in a trench. And then I just could not claw my way out of it. Or if I did claw my way out of it, it was so hard fought and won. I really desired, yes, we're going to have squirrely days, but you know what? I can pick myself up. And that doesn't mean that today has to be like yesterday. Let's move on. That's why I always say ever forward. Let's just keep going.
Right.
Let's not just backpack on this and carry it around all the time. Let's let it go.
Right. Yeah. I think those are definitely the times when you're dieting, right? When you're just, I'm done with this. I'm off to the store to get, the chips and the ice cream, or I'm getting fast food, or I'm ordering an extra large pizza, whatever your thing is, right? Or people are, all about drinking copious amounts of wine, and whatever your thing is. It's like these, times are tough, and this is what I do. So now I do, because we haven't developed any positive coping mechanisms. Which we talked about.
And I did that filtering with that negative thinking. I had great things, but I honed in on what was bad, and I let it overrule everything that was good. And that was an allowance. That was a choice I was making. And that's one thing that was different about your program, is I started looking at choices in different ways, and how I really had more power and control than what I gave myself credit for. Because listen, nobody can tell you how to feel. Nobody can tell you how you're going to start your day and your positivity. You can own that yourself. And one small positive choice in the morning can really change your trajectory of your entire day. And that's why we do these mantras. And that's why we tell ourselves this. And we tell ourselves this over and over again. And it becomes who you really are. It becomes who you present yourself as. And I'm a big believer in it. And I'm telling you that it works. And it's all panned out for my good. Everything that I did with this mantra.
Right. And we can talk more. I mean, I want to touch on that today with, talking about how we create that new version of ourselves. But just to reiterate what you said, I think it's just all about choices, and we don't realize how many choices we actually make in a day to revert to the behavior that we don't like. And so to have, in our program, what we do is we teach you how to make different choices, because it seems at the time when you're making those choices, like you can't control yourself. So that is, what we're doing in our program is overcoming that urge to just keep making those same choices and stay in your comfort zone, which is, not that comfortable. But what about you, Joanne? Is your why the same as it was when you started?
No, it's very different. I mean, my why in the beginning was I want to lose weight. I need to do this to get right. I need to get my health right, which is still my why. I'm still working on my health because it's done a 180 and I can't wait to see what else it does. But the weight loss was mainly my why when I joined. And now my why is is so much more exciting than that, because I've peeled back all of those layers, and now I'm excited. I've seen who I am becoming, and I'm super excited to see what else is out there. And I don't have all that other stuff weighing me down anymore. And
Yes.
and yeah, the other stuff that weighs you down, that doesn't give you the opportunity to even recognize who you are. Now my why is just keep going. And I've been in this almost 2 years, and I haven't backtracked. And so I don't have that fear anymore that, oh, well, this is just going to end up like everything else. And, you know, I have a new way of living. I have a new way of thinking. I have a new perception of myself. I'm not weighed down by the fear of going to fail, because I know I'm not going to fail, because I don't have those old habits anymore.
Right. It's just a different way of being. It's not a
Mhm.
diet. It is a different way of being. And even though
It
you're
is.
eating differently, your thought process is also different.
Mhm.
And so because you've become a stronger, more confident person, you're not thinking to yourself all the time, when is this going to, when
Right.
is this, when am I not going to be strong enough to do this anymore?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which is always what I was thinking with everything that I did. Like,
Mhm.
you don't want to really think about it, because you're sort of like this magical thinking where I'll just keep doing what I'm doing every day, and I'll just keep eating the exact same thing every day. And you just keep thinking, like, if I just keep everything exactly the same and nothing different
Right.
happens, then I'll be able to sustain this. Whereas, well, number one, we all know that's not true, because holidays happen and vacations happen,
Mhm.
and bad days happen. I mean, so yeah, you're always afraid when it's a
Mhm.
diet that you just can't do it, and that once you fall off, you're not getting back on, which is
Mhm.
usually the case, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's really about, I mean, you start off with a vision for your health and your weight loss, and then you end up with, um, I'm creating a person, that
Mhm.
version of myself that I love, and that this is no longer, I'm doing this because I can't stand myself, but
Right.
because I love myself. And I'm excited to see, if I love myself this much and this happens, if I keep going, like you said, like what else can happen? Like
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, like I am on Lori about 8.0 now, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just keep, I'm like, well, what else can I do? This is awesome, because once you really start fueling yourself, and not just in your body, but in your mind, you realize that the limitations you thought you had are really not there.
Mm-mm.
They're
So
not.
that is super,
Mm-mm.
super exciting. So but let's be real though. So if have you experienced resistance along the way, where your mind has been telling you, so resistance, let me just define this for everybody. Resistance is that voice that says, you can't do this, you're not ready, go ahead and just cheat and have this, and one trip to the fast food, isn't gonna kill you, or one trip to down the candy aisle, or all of these different things that we say, or, like, how much does this really matter? My weight's not that
Mhm.
important. All of the
Mhm.
stuff that makes us stay small. That is
Mhm.
to not
Yeah.
reach our goal. That's resistance, and we all have it. And you could even be experiencing that from other people in your life too, because they have their own resistance and they like to project that onto you, right? We all do it. So, have you experienced resistance throughout this process, and how do you deal with it differently now?
I have experienced it. And what I view it as when I see it is I'm saying there's a breakthrough. Something is teaching me something that I need to know about this. And then you have told me, because I can run things by you. I run things by Joanne, because that's what we do. And I'm still getting coached. And I love that part about it, because even yesterday being my birthday, and I wanted to do this post, but I didn't want to make it about me. I honestly didn't. I wanted to say, look at what can happen. I did do this. I wasn't at rut. I hated birthdays. Birthdays were a trigger for me. And it wasn't because of getting older. It was because of, yet again, you are not where you want to be. And I associate with my weight, but I made it be, you're not where you want to be in life. And so I had a poor pitiful, let's have a pity party for LT over here, on my birthday every year. And yesterday was one of the best birthdays that I've ever had, because I've totally changed my mindset. on that. And I credit you for putting me in that perspective, because what I did was I would have a spotlight on things that were going wrong, and then I would make it center stage. I am shifting my spotlight to other things now, and I'm letting that overtake the other. Now, you still have resistance. Yes, there is a resistance, even doing what we're doing, being in a position of leadership or coaching, just thinking, you don't want people to think that you know it all, or that you're telling, because I'm telling you that we don't, but we depend on each other, and we're stronger together, and we know that we have the greater good going on. We know that, but sometimes, just as you're a person, you're fallible. You don't want to come across the wrong way. I'm really into, I cannot stand entitlement or people thinking that I'm better than everybody. That's just my little personal hang up. I don't want to approach that. So I'm just questioning a lot. I don't want to be that way, but I really want everybody to know, and all of us are truly this way. We view this almost as really not as a job. It really is as a mission, because when you have been in the trenches, as all three of us have been in the trenches, and come out on the other side of it, you cannot help. I mean, it is so in you to want to share, to want to tell other people. It is almost involuntary. It is like, please get on track with this, because you're not only going to change your life, you're going to change the life of your family, your coworkers, the immediate people in your circle. And it's a movement. And we know that it is, because we've seen it for all of ourselves. We've seen it.
Right.
It happens. It's true.
It is a movement. And that's the way that I've looked at it from the beginning, because when I was so sick and overweight and depressed and, all of this stuff, and I could not really get any help of any quality from the medical industry, or definitely not any answers. I looked around and I realized that it wasn't just me. It was like every woman I knew was in this exact same situation. And I thought to myself, how is it that we are all in this situation? How is that happening? So to see what is the right word? It's almost, it's like the weight is a shell. And to see women coming out of that, and finding themselves and being excited about their lives, not just because it's not that the weight is coming off and therefore they're getting excited. They're getting excited and the weight is coming off.
That's the flip. That's the way it is right there.
Right. It is, you start to love yourself, and you start to look at your life in a way that what is causing this pipeline of crap to end up with me being like this, instead of what is wrong with me.
Yes.
And then when you start to address it in that way, not only is the weight coming off, that's like I said, that's the symptom. It is you turning from that caterpillar who's like in this cocoon, like, I don't know what to do. I did a post on this. Caterpillars are blind. And I thought, oh man, it's such a great analogy, because so caterpillars, they are born, and their job, they can't see anything. Their job is to eat. And they get as fat as they possibly can before they get into this cocoon. But when they go into this cocoon, they actually develop eyes, and they develop these antennae, to like feel and sense their world. And then these wings that they can fly. And I thought, oh my gosh, what an amazing analogy, because it really is like that. It is about seeing how amazing you really are. That's what's inside of you. Because in that caterpillar, they have these panels already for their wings. The caterpillar doesn't know what they're for, but they're there. And then they go into the cocoon, and then this is how they come out. And so that's the way to look at this journey. It's not about calories. It's not about carbs. Yes, there's a way to marry how you're eating with this process, and that's what we do. And there is a big, when you get that monkey of food addiction off of your back, it's huge, because then you can think more clearly. It's really, when I was thinking about was sugar and fast food. I mean, there wasn't any clarity in my thoughts.
Right.
So That's, I
Yes.
mean, when you really start to, now when we experience this resistance, like you said, it's not that that script isn't still there sometimes. I mean, you can still hear it. It's just, instead of giving it power, I'm like, oh, I hear that script again.
Mm-hmm.
That's the script that's been running for as long as I can remember. What's it saying? Oh yeah, I'm not listening to that. And I keep going.
Keep going. That's
Are
right.
you-
And in old habits, before, a lot of us turned to eating when we were frustrated or angry or sad. And now you're in touch with those feelings and you're like, you know what? I'm frustrated. Normally what I would do. So I think, I'm going to journal. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to go out on a walk with the dogs. I'm going to get out of the house. I'm going to do something. I'm flipping the script on old patterns, because one day is not going to turn into the next to the next. And I'm not going to be in the trench again, because I'm going to pick it back up very, very quickly.
Right. What about you, Joanne? Do you have any thoughts on how you're handling your resistance differently?
I think before, my resistance was in the form of what mold I thought I should fit into. And when I was striving so hard to fit into that mold. So when I would try to put myself first or try to break out of that at all, hear that like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. It's not showing up right. You can't do this because it's taking time away from something else, or you're not putting as much effort. I don't even know, like wrapping presents the right way, or making Sunday dinner the right way, or,
Yep. She freezing.
Am I frozen?
No, you're not. She is.
Okay, I want to make sure it's just me. It's not just me. Okay. Oh, she's there, but wait, you're muted, Joanne. Let's see. There you go.
there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what you heard, but anyways, all of that stuff that I was feeling resistance to was just a bunch of crap. It was just a bunch of stuff meant that I think it's just the script that we have lived for so many generations, even of what we were meant to be. And when you can't meet that because you're struggling with your health and you're struggling with your weight, you're struggling with your self-confidence and your own identity, you can't meet any of those. So that resistance used to take me down. It really used to take me down and make me put myself on the back burner. Well, now that I've gotten a taste of what that's like when you recognize it and say, no, not today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give that up anymore. I'm not, because I know I'm a better person now. And I know I'm better for my family now than what I was giving them in the past. And
Absolutely.
now it's not just about what I can do for everybody else. It's who I can become so that they can benefit from who I am and not what I can do for them.
Yes.
It's a total flip.
There it is.
It's a total flip.
There it is, right there.
Absolutely.
That's
The
it.
people, whether it's your kids or your friends or your spouse or whoever you are, or your pets, it doesn't matter. If you are being the best version of yourself,
Yep.
you are putting out energy that is healing. That's the thing. We can all, by all vibrating, all of us vibrating higher, we can heal each other,
Yes.
and it doesn't mean that bad days don't happen. It doesn't mean also that, I talk about, early on in my journey, I got out without food. I was doing personal training, and I don't, it just did, it was a stupid decision. So I was starving. I didn't know what to eat. I passed by this chocolate place, Anthony Thomas, for any of you who know Anthony Thomas, and I got 7 pieces of chocolate. And that's what I mean, like, from the case, right? Like,
Yeah.
sizable pieces, because I was starving, and I ate all of those. I was sick for the rest of the day because I was out. I usually had food with me, but I thought I was going to be home and I wasn't, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that before would have just derailed me. Well, I ruined it. That,
Yep.
because I was on this magical journey where I didn't have any problems, and I didn't,
That's
and I
right.
never screwed up, and I was perfect. And then I did this, and so now I've ruined it. But that's not what happened. I just said, okay, so that's a learning experience, right? I was like,
Right.
here's what we're not going to do again. But then you just get right back on the road, and that is when you have the coaching and you have the group of people who are on this path, This is a path. Then if somebody stumbles on the path, you just help them back up and we all keep going.
Mhm.
That's it. And you don't let a bad week, say you're up half a pound in a week. You don't say, my gosh, a half a pound. And I'm so upset about it. And I feel like I'm doing all this and this scale is not aligning with what I'm saying. And I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now you're setting yourself up for the next week to be so upset about what that was,
Right.
that you're probably going to another gain again. Just get over it. Just move past it and say, whatever, I'll try to figure out what it was, but bodies fluctuate, I'm just going to keep doing what I need to do because it's going to show up eventually. It's going to show up because I'm doing what the plan is. I'm doing what the portions are. When you do that, it's going to show up. It's going to.
That's what I tell people all the time is that if you are eating this way, and so on my program,
Yes.
I have never had anyone follow the program and not lose weight. I mean, that is just
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that you don't, so on your way from A to B, right? It doesn't mean there's not a little bit of this because we are human beings. And so when somebody is like, yeah, I'm up a pound this week, I'm like, you just trust the process. Is there anything you think you need to do differently this week? And well, no, not really. Okay, then just keep going. Because there's no way that you can follow this and not lose the weight. So let's not focus on that. How are you feeling? Oh my God, I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling so energetic. My inflammation is, I'm wearing a size down than I was. I'm like, focus on that. Because we get this isn't just about your weight. You are going to get healthier and you are going to lose the weight, but focus on loving yourself and being compassionate with yourself during the process and becoming this person who can trust themselves to keep going.
Yes. And being proud of yourself that you're on a path, that you're doing this and not saving your proud moments for when it's over and you have that number that you want, or you have that size that you want. Be proud of yourself that you have made a change and a choice to do this all the way down and highlight all those good things coming your way. And when you get compliments, take them. And when you get somebody asking you for advice or something, or what are you doing, be proud about what you're telling them. I'm just saying, own it, roll around in it, drink it in, and just make it who you are. That's how you present yourself. This is who I am. This is how I do things.
Yeah, I think it's really, for me, it's been about gratitude. And when I can stay in my gratitude, then everything is different. And because that is not where I was before. I would always, when you're in deprivation, because you're on all of these diets, you can't, there's nothing to be grateful for because you're just, it's the same thing over and over again. And then you are also just feeling really deprived and in some cases, like that's just not good for you, like keto and things like that are just not good for you. So, but when you are actually fueling your body, when you're feeling better, when you have, that mental fog lifted, because a lot of women who are eating, the standard American diet or some form of it are having a lot of brain fog. And you're having all this irritability and things. I mean, it's really hard to feel grateful. But when you get out from under all of that, it is just like I said, it's like the sky's the limit. And so I'm grateful every day that my body is healed and that I'm able to do what I can do. I am, that I look younger now than I did 15, 20 years ago, that I have more energy, and that I am surrounded by other women who are feeling the same way.
Absolutely. We are built for connection. We are hardwired for connectivity. And what we're telling you is that we already have that established. You are not going to have to walk this alone. And somebody is going to be side by side with you. And you are going to just feel like that you have somebody swooping in and just helping you every step of the way. And I embraced every bit of that. And that was what was different about your program. We have people that genuinely care and want to see you succeed because, like I said, we view this as a mission. It really is.
Absolutely.
And you can feel that even like when, like Elsie and I were talking several times about like when you go to the grocery store now and you see yourself in other people, the women who are still, like you said, wearing the shell of the overweight, wearing the shell of the defeated look on their face. with all the kids in tow and with, you
Yeah.
know, they're just overwhelmed and you can feel it coming off of
Yeah.
them. It's like you just want to reach out to them, just walk up to a complete stranger and be like,
Come here.
come on,
Yeah.
we can
That's exactly
fix all
right.
of this. Like, we know the way. And like, I wish we had free samples to give out, because we were them. We were absolutely in that boat. And now that we've come to the other side of it, I can't contain it most of the time. You know, I just want everybody to have this, and I know they can do it because I see the symptoms, because we know the symptoms are the reasons why they got there in the first place.
Live
Right.
them.
Right. Yeah. So this is when you are holding that vision for yourself of the person that you can be, and the person that you want to step into, not just a thinner person, but a person who is confident and joyful and can trust themselves
Yes.
and is pursuing the things that they want in life, is personally fulfilled. All of those things, when you're holding that vision for yourself, it's exciting. That is how we are joyful every day in this journey, because it's not just because we learn to count calories or we learn to cut carbs. It is because we are changing as we go and embracing every little change the same way. Like, you know, when I had, you know, when you have your babies, for those of you who are moms and you're looking at them, you're like, look at this fascinating little person. You know, you're like, look at the little fingers.
I know
Like,
it.
I look at myself like that now. Every new thing I learn about myself, I'm like, look at that. Look at that. You go, Lori. That's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
Or if maybe it's something that I don't like, I don't love, I'm like, look at that. I wonder where that came from. Like, okay, well, that's all right. We're just going to discard that and we're going to do this instead. Like, that's all
Move
right.
that spotlight. We're going to move that spotlight to another side. That's right.
Right. It's not I hate myself. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed that I feel that way type of thing. It's like, oh, I'm human. Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Exactly.
And then
That's
you
it.
just keep moving forward. This is a journey about self-love. For anybody who's listening to this, that is exactly what it is. And the more the longer you're on the path, the more you love yourself and the better you feel, and the more you can give to other people too. It's just, it spills over because your cup is really, really full.
Very full.
So I thank everybody. We always go over, but you know, I always feel like we have so many important things to say. And obviously there's so much more we could say about this topic. We love to hear your comments as well. So please, whether you are listening live or doing, you know, in the replay, then please comment, because we always come back and look at those. Gina says, this was a great topic. I can relate to all of you. It made me realize that I'm not alone. Every week is so informative. Thank you all for sharing. So thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Thanks, Gina.
We appreciate that. And we love connecting with all of you this way. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you are interested in joining the Plant Power Revolution, that's my program, then, you know, please send me a private message and we can talk about that. I can give you all the details, see if it's a fit for you, and we will go from there. So have an amazing weekend, everyone. And we will see you next week on the InnerStrength Empowerment Hour.
Yes.
Bye.
Choose joy. Bye.
Yes. Bye.